Peace and love, y'all. Naeem here. Today, I'm going to make a video on precognition and remote viewing, and what in today's scientific literature is some refer to as like retrocausal effects, presentiment, stuff like that. This is a little higher level than just presentiment, but let me explain myself here. So I've been posting these videos on my YouTube of me doing remote viewing sessions before the target's selected, before the target's been queued. I just want to run through some of the highlights of one of these sessions to kind of explain what's happening and give the viewers a better idea of what the reality of the situation is, and maybe we have some inconsistencies and holes in our theories about time and reality. So here's a little image that I made. The top part here has an arrow. This is like our idea of the forward flow of time. This is commonly held by pretty much everyone. Maybe at the quantum level, there's scientists that talk about things moving both ways in time. But for the main consensus and for everyday life, we all go around believing and thinking that time moves forward from the present into the future. You can't go backwards. So the top is a demonstration of what a regular remote viewing session, the sequence of a normal remote viewing session. First, the target is queued, and it's you create a target number. It's put in an envelope or whatever. Second, the remote viewer does the remote viewing session, and then they give in their work, and then the final step is the feedback. That's where the viewer actually gets to see the target photo and compare their work, so they get feedback. So that's the normal sequence of a remote viewing session, and remote viewing is a very interesting phenomenon on its own. In the sequence that I'm talking about here at the top, where the target's been queued and then the viewer remote views it. This is amazing on its own, but it's a little harder to wrap your mind around this second the second configuration at the bottom. But the first one, the remote viewer views the target, and when it's a success, we somehow trying to explain it as somehow the remote viewer can read the information that was already been created in this target, even though it was hidden from the five senses. It existed somewhere, right? Here on this down at the bottom, this second image that I created, this is the setup for my experiments that I'm doing here, and there's a couple other experiments that have done this already. I'll leave a link in the description for the Manoa remote viewing project. That was by Dick Algeier. That was by the HRVG group, and the Farsight Institute collaborated on that one. I'll leave that in the description. They used a similar protocol here. So in my sessions that I'm going to show you here on this video is here the remote viewing is done first. So no session, no target's been queued yet. So the remote viewing is done first, then a target is queued, and then the feedback happens. And with this configuration, with our current understanding of time, it would seem that somehow time is moving backwards. So the target wasn't queued yet, but the viewer completes their session, and if it all goes well, the feedback matches there's matches between the viewer's data and the feedback. And with our logical minds, we can only try and explain this away as somehow this information seems to be moving backwards through time. I'm not going to call any conclusions on that. I'm just showing the phenomenon and showing the demonstration. I'll let you, the scientific theoretical types theorize. I'll do the demonstrations. So that's what we're going to be looking for here. I'm working with this bottom configuration. Remote viewing first, then the target is queued, then the feedback. All right. So the target pool, then the way the target's being queued here is I'm doing this by myself, so there's no one else involved in these videos that you're seeing with these precognitive sessions. I'm not in contact with anyone to set me up a target or anything like that. I'm using this website here. I took a screenshot of it. It's rv.m31.de. It's a remote viewing training target site. I found it online in a Facebook group. And so you sign up for it. And it says here in the bottom left corner, it has over 500 easy targets, over 100 advanced targets, and 80 pro targets. So when I did this session in this video that I'm about to show you, there was over 500 different images in this image pool. And on the right, it explains some of the facts on the target pool. And I just want you to pay attention mainly to the top one is the important one here. That no image is shown more than once to the same user. So that's important here. We don't want the same image to get shown over and over again, right? We want to have a new image every time, so that this can be so that we can have new data, have a new target image to compare to for feedback. So out of 500 something images, a new image is shown each time you request a target from this pool. So the information is there. You guys can check that out. The link will be in the description. I'm trying to make this as transparent as possible. So now we're going to jump into some of the session work here. Now, on this side over here and on the bottom, there's some images of this target site. Okay, so the target was this lighthouse. It's called Beachy Head in Sussex. And so the main gestalts here, there's land, there's like a cliff, this big cliff-like ridge, and then the land-water interface where it's kind of like a beach. And then you have the structure, which is the lighthouse. So this was the target that was randomly generated by this target pool after my session was completed. So this video you're watching here in the bottom right corner, the target wasn't selected yet. I had no idea. No one knew what this target was going to be. It was randomly generated by the computer at the end of the session. But here's my stage 3, and basically this is a compilation of the data collected in the first. This is 8 minutes in, so I've skipped 8 minutes into the session. I have the full video on my channel if you want to watch the full thing. I'm starting here. This is where all the data from the first 7 or so minutes, I'm trying to put it all on one page and try and put in some kind of order, intuitively feel out the order and the arrangements. And the main goal in this stage is to identify the gestalts at the target. So that would be, in this case, it would be the water, land, and then the structures, which is the man-made structure of the lighthouse, and then this large piece of land, the ridge, could be interpreted as a structure as well, a natural structure. So pay attention to these images on the left and the gestalts, the elements of the target site, and I'm going to play my S3 here so you can hear me and see me put these things together off the top of my head from the data that I collected. And yeah, so watch. And so seeing like something like this, like structure there, some kind of structures there. I'm seeing this like something's that's slanted or like curved, like that. Yeah, kind of like this big area. There's some like greens. Something about it feels natural. There's some greens that I saw. So we're gonna go land one, structure 1, structure 2. Alright, so land, some vegetation, and 2 structures is what we're going to go for here. And yeah, oh, there might be some water. Water 1. So as you can see there, I identified, this is a low, at this stage in the session, this is a low resolution image of the target. So this compilation of sketches that I put together here, this is low level contact data that's arranged and put into some kind of form so that we can use it as a base, as kind of like a starting point for the next stage. So I said there's water, land, and 2 structures. So you can see I have this slanted. I said there's something that's kind of like slanted. My structure 2 that I labeled it as, that's the ridge. That's this ridge here. I said there was greens up there. There's some vegetation. I said there was water and a structure there. So you can see that I have all the main gestalts of this target site are in my S3, right? So here are a couple, here's 2 comparison images just so you can kind of see how the low resolution early contact can come together and give a good overview of the target site. All right. So now we're going to jump into the first gestalt here. So based on what is seen, what's collected and put together in that last stage, I'm using that as a jumping board, as the base for what I'm going to try and pursue. So I had land and I had this 2 structures. So here I'm trying to isolate the land and get a visual, get a higher resolution visual image of the land gestalt. So I put some images over on this side of the couple different shots of the lighthouse here, so you can see the land. It's kind of like particulate, gravel, dirt, some rocks strewn. There's kind of like a little path. I'll go back. I'll show you an image in the coming up. There's kind of like a little path that leads up to the lighthouse that sometimes is covered in water and sometimes it's not. But pay attention here. Here's the land. Here's me taking a look at this land gestalt. And keep in mind, I had no idea what this target was going to be. It hadn't even been queued yet. All right. So keep these things in mind about the nature of time and reality, and consciousness's role. What our minds and consciousness, what kind of role they play in this. All right. So check this out. Land 1. Just get a visual here. LAND 1. Land 1. Okay, this is off in the distance. Something off in the distance here. And then this is like the land. The land right here. Kind of like going off into the distance. Something off there in the back. Natural, feels somewhat natural here. The smells would be like somewhat barren. Like I see like just barren, like kind of like I don't see much vegetation here right now. Textures would be like dirt, land. There might be like a path or something here. this here, this might feel more man-made. Gotta look at that. But land, okay, there might be some greens actually over here, and maybe over here, but large vista, something off in the distance. That's what I'm seeing there. So maybe we should look at that. So you can see there, I've drawn the barren land, dirt land, something in the distance that I said is man-made. Now, the land is what was the main focus of this look. When I looked, on this place in my mind that I call Blackboard, when I looked there, I was looking for the land. So I didn't see what this thing was in the distance. These images come really fast. So got a visual of the land. Now the next step is to look at this other structure. I said there's something there that's man-made. So this next look is going to be looking at the structure in the distance. So you saw my visual of the land. You saw my description, what I explained it as kind of barren, not a lot of vegetation here, just dirt, land, something like a path here, and something in the distance, a big vista. So here's my, here we're going to look at my visual of structure 1. So this is the structure in the distance. All right, we're going to get a look at this here. STRUCTURE 1, structure 1. Okay, this is like, I don't know what this is, but it's got like parts that go up like this, but then maybe something else here. This is weird. Didn't see this too well. Textures would be like, it's got like some kind of patterns on it there. Sounds would be some voices. Smells. Just want to pause it there for a second. So move it back a little here. As you can see there, the main visual gestalt of this lighthouse, got a flash of that. I got a flash of this visual. Not enough to fully recognize what it is or understand fully what it is, but enough to get this drawing out. And you can even see here on one of the probes, I realized there's two like rectangular type features here near the top, and you can see in the image on the left, bottom left, there's two glass panes, I guess where the light shines through, and you can see I've picked up on even that in my sketch here. This is man-made. This is man-made. What is it? Feels tall. Like I want to say like towering, somewhat elevated. Materials would be like hard. Colors I get are like gray, white, silvery. Might have something to do with communication or direction. Yeah, it seems like it's got like a upward and outward shape, but then maybe something like nested in that. It's weird shape there. But feels man-made. Feels somewhat modern, yeah. So that's what I'm seeing there for that structure. Yeah. So you can see there, I've drawn what I saw in my visual. I said it's like a tower. It's towering. I said it has to do with communication and direction. I said it's man-made. Keep in mind here, the target still hasn't been, no targets in existence yet. The target hasn't even been queued. No image has been selected yet. All right. So here I kind of throw up a. This is something that something that I do because this is a short session. Usually a remote viewing session is like 40 minutes, an hour, maybe even more. Like many pages of work. And since on these video demonstrations, I'm trying to keep it brief. I'm trying to and doing it on video is a little more challenging than doing it on paper. So at the end of the session, I try and just um, try and perceive anything that would be helpful. The main thing. If there was one thing I have to see, I'm requesting it now. This is what I do usually at the end of a session, especially for these ones that are short. So here I get another visual here from a different perspective. Anything else that I can pick up here? What do I need to see? I want to see what the tasker wants me to see. 1443-7473. Yeah. See, the task doesn't even exist yet. It's gonna happen after this. The task is gonna get created. So just keep that in mind, you guys. Okay, I see this from above. This is like something rounded. Something rounded like this. And there might even be some other structures nearby this. But something that's kind of like a tower, a cylindrical type shape, rises up. There's something up here, and I see this from above, looking down on this. Sounds, I get like voices. Smells, like structures, like concrete. What would that be for? So you can see there, I've captured the main visual appearance of the structure, and I just wanted to fast forward a little bit here to the very last thing I say here. Pale. There's some brightness. There might be like light shining on this. Yeah, so there might be light shining on this. Now, in the target photo, the lighthouse is not turned on, so I'm not going to consider that. It's not in the target photo. The lighthouse is not on, but just the it kind of messes with my mind to think that I got that kind of contact on this session. Yeah, I said it has to do with communication, direction, and I even said it has a light shining on it. So that was my my session there, and then shortly after that, you can see here I log into the target pool and pick a target, and so here it is. The target gets generated. See what we got. Oh, and there it is. That's actually a pretty good hit. So you can see, you can watch that full video on my YouTube, completely uncut. here's a little, overview of what possibly could be happening. I don't know. This is how most materialist, scientific-minded people in the current our current understanding. This is one of the best ways that people would model this. Is that somehow here on the left you can see I've visualized this for you guys. The remote viewing happened first. Here's my sketches, my drawings. And after I completed that, I clicked log into the target pool, requested the target, so something got queued up now, and then the feedback was revealed, and you could see the results for yourself. So, does information move back through time? I don't know. Does it move backwards through time? Does time only move in one direction? I already know that we're not limited to our physical bodies or our physical senses. But when it comes to this whole time thing, this is something that conversation needs to be started over, and more people need to look into this, do experiments. Dean Radin has some experiments on presentiment, and there are experiments on precognition, but they're usually not of this degree. You know what I mean? They're usually like just reading the EEG or the electric skin conductance on the participants and stuff like that. This is a high level conscious perception of a future target, right? So here's just the result comparison here, and there. So yeah, hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully you can see what I mean by this configuration, the flow of time, our current understanding, and you know, how can this happen? Obviously, we have some missing understandings, and I'm not claiming to be the first to do this. Many people have precognitive dreams. Even in remote viewing, there's been precognitive remote viewing trials and experiments and stuff like this. I'm just here doing it on video, I guess in a more palatable format. You know what I mean? I don't want to bore you guys with scans of paperwork. All right, I'm trying to engage the audience and give people something to think about. You know, so hopefully this was interesting. If you enjoy any of my content and you appreciate this kind of stuff that I do, donations are greatly appreciated. You can find my PayPal link below in the description, as well as if you would like to donate through cryptocurrency, if you'd like to donate straight to me without any third parties getting in the way. Hopefully this was interesting. Peace and love, you guys. Thanks for watching.